Hello friends, in today's lecture we will discuss about bolt crates basically. The method used for tightening the bolt is dependent upon the bolt grade. Basically the bolt grade tells us about the maximum amount of stress that the bolt can handle. So in this lecture we will discuss about the bolt grades and it based upon the maximum tensile stress that a bolt can handle. Okay, there are basically three criteria for defining the bolt grades. Basically, three systems basically are used. One is the US system, SAE system, okay, and the other is the matrix system, and the third is the ASTM system. So these are basically the three criterias or the three ways of defining the bolt. So now we will discuss one by one all these criterias. Okay. Now this SAE system. In the SAE system, if we talk about the SAE system, the grades they are basically three types of grades: grades 2, grade 5, and grade 8 bolt. In SAE system, they are the bolts are classified into grade 2, grade 5, and grade 8. And basically, if we go on these, so depending upon these, the number of lines on the bolt head, you can identify whether it is a grade 1, grade 5, or grade 8. Okay, or even more grade. Okay, how it is identified basically, for example, if it is grade 1 or grade 2, then there will be no line. If it is medium strength, that is grade 5, then there will be 3 lines. If it is grade 8, there will be 6 lines. Okay, so in this way you can identify the bolts just by visualization. The first system is SAE system. The second system is basically the matrix system or international standards system. Basically, on this system the bolt is basically classified into the classes like class 5.8, class 8.8, class 10.9, class 12.9 bolt. Okay, so basically these 5.8, 8.8, 10.9, 12.9 are written on the top of the bolt, so you can easily identify using this. And the next is ASTM criteria. In this ASTM criteria there is a alpha, there is a letter A, and there is some three letter words over there like this A3 to 25. So in this way you can identify the this ASTM criteria or identify the bolt. So the three systems that are used are US, metric, and ASTM. In the US, grade 2, 5, 8, and the metric class 5.8, class 8.8, class 10.9, and 12.9. In ASTM, directly A. So basically in India we are generally following this metric and sometimes the SAE system. Okay, so these are the common system that we are using up. Now discuss about these boards in more detail. Now these boards are basically depends upon the classifications and the board gates. We are generally considering what exactly these gates means. Okay, we are considering that. Okay, now this classification over here, first of all take the bolts, steel bolts. Okay, grade 1, these grade 1 or grade 2 bolts. Okay, these are having the same almost same properties. Okay, so these bolts are classified depending upon the tensile strength, and this tensile strength is generally defined in the this manual or the catalog of the bolts. Okay, basically, so these grade 1 and grade 2 bolts are almost the same bolts over there. Even this class 5 bolts are come in this category, grade 1, grade 2 bolts. Okay, and these are basically these grade 1 and grade 2 bolts are used generally for the non-critical joints. Non-critical joints means where the where there is no much there not much uh, this tension force over there, and the joint just have to serve the purpose. Okay, there is not much application of the forces. And sometimes the OEM and maintenance. Okay, if there is some joint between two links, then you can use these grade 1, grade 2 bolts. And these are basically the cost effective bolts. Grade 1 and grade 2 are these are cheap bolts. Okay, always remember the bolts are not that cheap in any erection or commissioning work. As we consider, we are generally consider just change the bolt. It is not like this. In some machines, if some installation, the bolts almost cost around 20 to 30% of the total cost of the machine. So we always careful and we always ask the designer whether we are able to reuse the bolt or not. Okay, if the bolt are reusable, you can ask from the designer, you can have the viewpoint from the designer, then you can use the same bolt. Okay, because these bolts are really costly. Okay, now these grade 1 and grade 2 bolts, these are not that much costly bolts, and non-critical joints, they are used OEM. Okay, and the original equipment maintenance and manufacturer OEM basically, and maintenance purpose these are basically used. Okay, these are cost effective, and their tensile strength is between 60,000 to 74,000 psi, and these are grade 1 or grade 2 bolts, or the class 5 comes in this category also. So basically these are cost effective and made up of low carbon steel. Even their hardness number is in the B category. B hardness, if you know the, because hardness number, then you can easily understand that thing. So these are basically soft bolt. Okay, easily can be broken, or these are easily can be elongate. Basically these are soft bolt. Okay, now the second is grade 5 bolts. Grade 5 bolts are basically equivalent to class 8.8. Okay, what I am sharing, just remember this thing: grade 1 grade 2 bolt almost have the same property as class 5 bolts. Okay, then class 8.8, this grade 5 bolts almost have the same property as class 8.8. Okay, this grade 5 is basically SAE criteria, and class 8.8 is basically ISO criteria. Okay, so these are basically from this grade 5, we have to use impact wrench for tightening up the bolt. Okay, here we can use the spanner only. Here from this grade 5 bolts, we have to we start using impact wrenches basically. Okay, there is a display on the torque value on that impact wrench. There are some snug tight wrenches are there are some electrical impact wrenches are there are some manual impact wrenches. You can use whatever you want to use, but the torquing criteria must be met as per the designer, as per the manual. You have to meet the torquing criteria. So these grade 5 bolts are equivalent to class 8.8. Okay, class 8.8, and they have tensile strength between 1,50,000 to 1,20,000 psi basically. Okay, now, if all these generally data is given in the US standards, PSI is pounds per square inch. So you have to follow, you have to convert it based upon your application of generally the manuals. If some equipment is coming from the foreign countries, and you are buying something from another country, then they generally follow the pounds and square inch. They generally doesn't follow the MK system. So you can just go through it. Okay, now this group grade 1 grade 2 or class 5.5 are low carbon steel, and these are medium carbon steel bolts. Okay, and having 1,50,000 to 1,20,000 psi tensile strength, they can withstand easily without any elongation. Okay, and these grade 5 bolts or class 8.8 bolts are generally used in automotive applications, generally in automobile. Okay, we are generally also using robotics applications, the robot joints, etc. So these are basically grade 5 or class 8.8. Now the next is grade 8 bolts, and is equivalent to class 10.9. Now remember, always remember this thing: from 10.9, or even sometimes this 8.8 is also called as HT bolts. From class 8.85 and above, the high tension, we generally call the bolt as high tension bolts, because they are having the more, they can capable of having much more tensile strength. So these are called as HT bolts, high tension bolts, or HT bolts. Okay, this grade 8 is equivalent to class 10.9, and these are basically called as HT bolts. Above this grade 8 or class 10.9, we generally call it as HT bolts, and these HT bolts can withstand tensile stress up to 1,50,000. Okay, and mostly in the erection and commissioning work, this grade 10.9 bolts are mostly used industrial machinery. These are used motors, if there are some motor pumps, valve tanks, etc. Basically these grade 8 or class 10.9 bolts are generally used. Okay, and after that grade 9 is basically equivalent to class 12.9. Or always remember, up to B, this there is B hardness criteria, after that C, and keeps on increasing. You can check the manual as well as there is no the whatever the product manual, you can check and you can easily identify. In the product manual, it is everything is given about that bolt. Okay, they basically has a system where everything is given about the bolt. Now this grade 1 grade 2 is equivalent to class 5, grade 5 is equivalent to class 8.8, grade 8 is class 10.9, and these are generally called as, from class 8.8 it is called as ST boards, 10.9 is also called as ST boards. Afterward, grade 9 or class 12.9, grade 9 or class 12.9, and these boards are basically heavy duty application boards, okay, where the stress is, the load is coming up very much, heavy machineries, these are basically used. Generally this class 10.9, class 12.9 boards, or we can call it as grade 8 or grade 9 boards, are generally used in heavy civil infra or heavy machineries, like straddle carrier, etc. These are basically used, heavy civil machineries they are used, okay. This class 12.9 boards are generally used in this bulldozers, this class 12.9 boards are used, where grade 9 or class 12.9, where there is heavy application, heavy duty application like bulldozers, etc. Okay. Now the last is bolt is Boy Malloy bolts. Boy Malloy bolts is basically made by the company called as MSC. Okay, these are various, these bolts are very much high strength as compared to class 12.9, and these are used in applications where their tensile stress is very much higher in race cars, etc. And very few companies are are able to manufacture such bolts. Bow alloy bolts are basically very costly. Okay, from this grade 1, grade 2 bolts, these are not, these are cost effective. Grade 5 bolts are also cost effective. From grade 8, that is class 10.9, the cost is very much high. Okay, the cost increases like this. Okay, this class 10.9 bolts, if you are purchasing around 2000, then it can cost you around 23 to 24 lakhs. Okay, if you are suppose you have to buy class 10.9 bolts of some specific length, let us take 90 this 90 length, okay, and then it's class 10.9 bolts. If you are purchasing 2000 numbers, then it can cost you 2000 to if you are purchasing 3000 number, then it can cost you around 25 lakh, 26 lakh. Okay, the bolt itself, because if any erection and assembling work, the large number of bolts are used. Generally 3000 to 4000 bolts is a common requirement of an assembly and erection. So these can cost you around 23 lakhs or 24 lakhs, 25 lakhs, and much more. Similarly, class 12.9 bolts are even much higher costly, and bomb alloy bolts are the basically you have to, and for these class 10.9 and above, you basically have to give the order in advance, as you are not able to get these bolts in time. Okay, so these are not readily available. The manufacturer, you have to give the order, then they either they come from other countries, or in India their availability is very less. You have to reorder in having a lead time, basically idle time you have to consider, how much in how much time they will be coming up, and you have to maintain a proper inventory of it. Hope you like this lecture. Keep supporting us. Thank you.